Ms. Williamson, good to have you. What do you think of these charges? Do you think they will have any impact on the race?
I think they could. Obviously, Hunter Biden's in trouble. Hunter Biden is not his father. We want to make that distinction. But at the same time, it absolutely complicates this case. You know, the Democrats have a big job. We have to defeat Donald Trump or whomever the GOP puts up. And this will be a distraction. This absolutely weakens the argument that Joe Biden is the only one we should be considering as the Democratic nominee.
Right now, you and Dean Phillips are challenging the president, and there are others who are looking for that progressive vote as well. But I'm just wondering, your after mentions that none of you are given a chance. Robert Kennedy, of course, left the fold to run as an independent because he wasn't making any traction, and he said that he wasn't, getting any sort of sympathy or support from the party, that it was icing him out. Do you think the party ices you out?
Absolutely, the party ices me out. Not only does the party ice me out, but so does some of the media sources that pretty much do its bidding. And it's wrong. You were talking about Nikki Haley earlier. I am higher in the polls quite a bit than Nikki Haley. And yet, to hear some of the people within the Democratic establishment and some of the television networks that pretty much support them, you think I didn't even exist. But it's even more than that. It has to do with things going on in states such as Florida, where there seems to be a strategized pattern here of shutting down these primaries. It's not a good thing at all. It's not good for the Democrats. It's not good for America.
All right. When you talk about higher in the polls, you mean within the Democratic Party? I mean, you're polling higher than she is within the Republican.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Mm-hmm. So how do you change that?
Well, for one thing, I think a lot of it has to do with letting people know that this is happening. And I do think that the word is getting out. Other than that, though, it has to do with lawyers. It has to do with ballot access professionals. It's not right how hard it is in this country. And this is, I don't care what your party is, it should not be this hard for the average American to have access to the pinnacles of power. The way the system is set up, Neil, you have to have so much access to money or to those who have money, in order to be anywhere near these races, and it's wrong. We have people in this country who are in trouble, who can't afford to put even food on the table, who can't work for just one job, who, 62%, paycheck to paycheck, people who are loaded down with medical debt, college loan debts. And we wonder, well, why aren't the policies coming out from Washington doing more to help these people? And yet, when you see the huge amounts of money that are involved in even playing the game, you understand that people who are experiencing that pain on a daily basis, they're not the ones who are making those policies. It's a crisis of our democracy, and I think people are seeing it and are angry about it.
Well, many Democrats are angry about what could be their choice, that it would be a repeat from 4 years ago when Joe Biden ran. They said he was old then. He's a lot older and more worrisome right now. Do you think Joe Biden is simply too old to run again?
I think both Joe Biden and Donald Trump are, past the age when you're sort of at your best cognitively. I think we sort of all know that. I don't want to be ageist about it, but I don't think this country wants to see a repeat of those two. I don't care whether you're on the left or the right. People are like, really? Really? Another this again? I think that there's a real yearning in this country to come up with something different. And we can come up with something different. We have plenty of people in both parties, I think, who represent the high-minded principles that those parties at least used to represent.
Do you ever get annoyed? It's more a personal question, Ms. Williamson, so I don't mean any insult here, that, you were the first woman in this presidential race, by far. And Nikki Haley comes along, and as you say, you poll better within the Democratic Party than she does the Republican Party, but you're the Rodney Dangerfield. You're getting no respect. No one even knows who you are. Does that bug you?
I tell you, and this is from the... Yes, Neil, it's quite something to be invisibilized, to be erased, to have articles written saying that the president does not have an opponent. The other day on Morning Joe, when Joe Scarborough said there is no Democratic primary. Now, if you look at Vivek Ramaswamy, Christie, DeSantis, Nikki Haley on debate stage. So why aren't those media sources, whether it's News Nation, CNN, having one come up? Maybe Fox would be interested in doing it. There should also be a debate between among the Democrats. And of course, we would hope that that the president wouldn't sit it out the way Trump has sat it out. But the American people should see what their options are. The numbers, the polls make it very clear. People want to see what other options are available. In the Democratic Party, as you said, you have Dean Phillips, you have myself, you have Cenk Uygur, who's trying to get on these ballots. We'll see what happens. And Democratic voters and Democratic-leaning voters, and really all Americans, should have an opportunity to see this. And nobody should be lying and saying that no one is running against the president, because we are.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. quit the Democratic Party because of that. Why not you?
Because he has $15 million in the bank. You know, getting on these ballots is so difficult, but also, you know, it's even more difficult independent. And also, I am a Roosevelt Democrat. I have nostalgia for the Democratic Party that used to be, just like there are people on, you know, in the Republican Party who say they have nostalgia for the Republican Party that used to be. So it's, I think a lot of us are grieving the parties that we grew up with. And the Democratic Party that I grew up with, Lyndon Johnson ran against, Eugene McCarthy ran against Lyndon Johnson. Bobby Kennedy Sr. ran against him. Nobody said that because Lyndon Johnson was the incumbent, nobody can run against him. There is no special assignation in the U.S. Constitution for incumbency. That was called democracy. People appreciated that. And that's what I want to see, and what I think a lot of people want to see. Can we just have a little more democracy going on here, where people get to run who feel moved to run, and the American voters get to see what their choices are?
Got it. A pleasure talking to you, Marianne Williamson. Appreciate it.
Thank you, always. Thank you so much for having me.